In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to build this bow rack. So stay tuned. Alright you guys, welcome back. You're watching Point on Archery and I'm your host Brad. Thanks for being here. So today in this tutorial, I'm going to be taking you guys through the process of me building this bow rack. In this video today, we're going to be doing just a quick little bit of showing you guys some of the parts and pieces and the materials that I use to do this bow rack. And then we're just going to be jumping straight into the main body of the tutorial, showing you guys the entire process. It's a pretty easy process. It's a pretty easy build. It took me about 2 or 3 days. And so towards the end of the video, once the build is done, then I'm actually going to be showing you guys how to put this thing up on a wall. And that's going to be pretty much it. So yeah, let's jump into it. Alright y'all, so I've been working on putting together a workshop in the house for all my archery and leather projects. The final touches to finishing my workshop is to put up a bow rack, which I've been planning on for a while. For this project you will need a hand drill. I'm using this Black & Decker we had out in the garage. Alright, so the next things you're going to need are a 1/8 inch drill bit, 2-inch drywall screws, a couple of planks of wood. These 2 pieces of red oak I purchased from Home Depot, and they measure about 32 inches by 3.5 inches by about 3.25 inch. After that you'll need some hanging hooks. I found these on Amazon and they worked great. Check the link below in the description for where I found these, along with a complete list of all the tools and materials I used. Some other things you'll need are a countersink for the drywall screws, a tape measure, some wood stain. I went with some Minwax that I had hanging around the garage from a previous project. Also, you'll need paint brushes, a level, blue tape, a box cutter or a pocket knife, and a pencil and some cardboard wouldn't hurt either. So before we begin the install, we have to do some prep and a little work on our wood planks. Like I said before, these 2 planks are red oak, and they came pre-cut at 32 inches by 3.5 inches by 3/4 inch. Start out by marking the anchor holes on your wood planks. I marked 3 holes on each, 1 at center and the other 2 about 1 inch in from the ends of the plank. After you've marked your anchor holes, it'll be a good idea to make sure you don't confuse these markings with your hook markings. I marked my anchor holes with some blue tape triangles, which made telling apart the markings really easy. Once you've got all 6 holes marked on both your planks, it's time to start marking the holes for your hooks. For this bow rack, I'm wanting to hang up to 8 bows, so start out by marking the first 2 holes 2 inches from both ends of the plank. Then begin marking your next 6 holes at 4 inches apart. What you will end up with is 8 holes at 4 inches apart that span 28 inches of your 32-inch plank. Do this for both planks, and then we'll begin getting ready to countersink and drill out the holes we've marked. For this next phase of the project, I'll be taking everything outside so I don't make too much of a mess, and I'm also going to have to improvise something to drill out the planks since I don't actually have any sawhorses or a proper workbench out here. So what I ended up doing was cutting a 2x4 into a couple of pieces and using these to prop up the planks while drilling. So let's begin drilling. Start out by switching out the bits on your drill and countersinking your anchor holes. This is important if you want your screws to sit flush with the planks. Then, switch out the countersink bit with the 1/8 inch drill bit and begin drilling all the holes that you've marked. Once your anchor holes have been countersinked and your hook holes have been drilled out, you might notice that you have some splinters and rough spots on your planks. I took a scrap piece of 80 grit I had laying around and sanded off these rough spots in no time flat. Alright, so now that we've got our holes drilled and our wood prepped, it's time to lay out our cardboard and put our planks on the ground and get ready for staining. Like I said earlier, I'll be using some Minwax I had in the garage. So before we begin laying down our stain, we want to make sure to give it a good shake and a good stir so that it's nice and mixed together before putting it on. Alright, so let's pop the lid and start laying on some color. When brushing on the stain, make sure to use even strokes to get a nice even spread of the stain across the surface of the wood. Don't forget the ends and the sides as well. Also, you might need 2 or 3 coats of stain depending on how dark you want the planks or depending on the color you used. And now it's time to let it dry. So now the stain is dried, we can begin the installation process. Begin the installation process by cutting some blue triangles and finding the center of the wall. Once you've found the center of the wall, then you will need to determine the center height of the bow rack. I chose to center the rack mounts between my workbench and the top edge of my window. So now that we have the center of the wall and the center of our mounts determined, let's decide how far apart we want the mounts. To determine the distance between the mounts, I put the planks on the floor and laid out a few of my bows to gauge the distance between the mounts. Now that we have the distance determined and the spread measured between the mounts, we can begin the installation process. Start by blue taping the spread measured between the mounts and use these as a quick reference marker. So now, let's put up our first plank. Make sure to level it and secure it to the wall with one of the screws. Once secured to the wall, you can anchor the plank with the remaining screws, but make sure to check your level before anchoring the final screws. Do this same process for the second plank. Okay, so now that we have both of the planks installed and anchored to the wall, now we can start installing all of our hooks. You'll notice that the screw end of our hanging hooks are a bit long, so I pre-drilled the holes in the wall to make sure that they went in a little bit easier. Now let's start screwing in our hooks. This part took a while, and you might need some breaks, but just stick with it. We're almost there. So now that's done, and we have all of our hooks installed, we can get to the fun part and start putting up all of our bows. Alright, so now that the bows are installed, let's get a look at the final product. Alright you guys, that's it for the video today. Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate you guys sticking through the entirety of this little video of mine. If you did like this video, please hit that like button below. I'd really appreciate it. Also remember to subscribe and share and comment if you guys have any questions at all about the build process or the installation process of this little project. So if you guys have any questions, please shoot me those, and I'll do my best to try and help you guys through some of the parts of the process that might be a little tricky and that I didn't include into this video. Like I said, I hope you guys liked this video. I had a great time making this video, and I hope you all out there are staying safe and staying sane. And remember, get outside, get to the range, and keep training, y'all.